On February 24, 2022, the world watched in shock as Russia unleashed a full-scale invasion of Ukraine from the north, the east, and the south, aiming to overwhelm a sovereign nation within days. What happened after would defy expectations. Ukraine refused to surrender. Front lines shifted again and again, and a war that began as a swift assault turned into one of the most consequential and prolonged conflicts in recent European history. In this video, we trace the key turning points, the decisive events that shaped the war so far, 2014 to 2021. Seeds of conflict. The roots of the current war stretch back well before 2022. In 2014, following political upheaval in Ukraine, Russia covertly annexed the peninsula of Crimea. At the same time, separatist movements supported by Russia seized territory in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region, leading 2 years of low-intensity conflict between Ukrainian forces and Russia-backed separatists. These events set the stage, and many analysts argue they laid the political and strategic groundwork that eventually led to the 2022 invasion. Invasion Day and early Russian offensive. On February 24, 2022, Vladimir Putin announced a special military operation and ordered Russian forces to invade Ukraine via multiple fronts, from Belarus toward Kyiv in the north, from the east through Donbas, and from the south via Crimea. The goal appeared to be a quick takeover of strategic points and the Ukrainian capital. Russian warships attacked small Ukrainian territories like Snake Island in the Black Sea. Airstrikes hit Ukrainian cities, and troops advanced rapidly in several regions. However, despite early gains, especially in the north and south, Russian forces ran into unexpectedly fierce resistance in and around Kyiv and other northern areas. By early April, Russia was forced to retreat from Kyiv and northern Ukraine. This failure to capture Kyiv quickly toppled. Ukraine's government shattered the 10-day war, scenario, proving that the invasion was not going to be a short-term affair. With the northern front stalled, the fighting focus shifted to eastern and southern Ukraine. On September 30, 2022, Russia declared the annexation of 4 Ukrainian oblasts, Donetsk, Luhansk Oblast, Kherson Oblast, and Zaporizhia Oblast territory it had partially occupied. The move was internationally condemned as illegal and illegitimate. On August 29, 2022, Ukrainian forces launched a southern counteroffensive aimed at recapturing territory. The counteroffensive succeeded. By November 11, 2022. Ukrainian troops had liberated the city of Kherson and most of the surrounding right bank areas of Kherson and Mykolaiv Oblast. Russian forces withdrew across the Dnipro River. The recapture of Kherson was a major blow to Moscow. Kherson was the only regional capital Russia had taken since the 2022 invasion. After the Kherson counteroffensive and other early maneuvers, the war entered a period of stalemate, with front lines largely frozen, heavy artillery exchanges, and both sides digging in. 2022 saw intense humanitarian cost, civilian casualties, destruction of cities, refugees, and widespread disruption. In mid-2023, Ukraine launched a second counteroffensive in an attempt to break Russian lines. During this period, both sides dug in mining fields, building fortifications, and engaging in attrition warfare. The front lines moved slowly, if at all. Casualties, military and civilian, destruction of infrastructure, and humanitarian strain remained high, underscoring that the war had become a protracted grinding conflict, not a short war. Meanwhile, the global community, allies, international organizations, continued providing support to Ukraine, shaping the larger geopolitical context of the war. 5. From 2024 on, prolonged warfare, new fronts, and uncertain future as of recent years. The war remains active on multiple fronts, east, south, and in contested regions. The conflict continues to reshape control over territory dynamically. Notably, in 2025, Russia publicly restated its intention to claim full control of the eastern region of Donbas, signaling that Moscow's territorial ambitions remain intact. The war now carries heavy long-term consequences. Massive humanitarian crises, displacement, economic decline, global instability, shifts in international alliances, and a redefinition of European and global security architecture. What moments reveal? The 2022 invasion revealed that despite Russia's military superiority, strategic overreach and underestimation of Ukrainian resistance can derail even ambitious wars. The recapture of Kherson proved that even after massive losses and occupation, Ukraine retained capacity and will to regain territory. The shift from rapid offensive to prolonged attrition war shows how modern warfare in Europe has again become drawn out, ugly, and unpredictable. The repeated attempts at annexation and the international rejection of those moves highlight the war's significance beyond Ukraine. It's about international law, sovereignty, and the post-Cold War order. Finally, the war's long-term impact. Lives lost, cities destroyed, economy wrecked. Global political instability underscores that this conflict is likely to shape global affairs for years to come. As of this embedded 2025, according to recent reports, Vladimir Putin stated that Russian forces have captured nearly 5,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in 2025 alone, and claimed that Russia continues to hold the strategic initiative on the battlefield. As of late 2025, Russia is estimated to control roughly 19 to 20% of Ukraine's territory, including full control of Luhansk Oblast, most of Donetsk Oblast, and significant portions of Kherson Oblast and Crimea, annexed in 2014. In June 2025, one specific territorial gain: Russian forces captured Kasyantinivka in Sumy Oblast, part of a broader Russian spring offensive in northeastern Ukraine. On the diplomatic front, in December 2025, Putin publicly reaffirmed that Russia will take full control of the entire Donbas region, either by force or by Ukrainian withdrawal, and reiterated this even in ongoing talks with U.S. envoys, has rejected these demands. Meanwhile, Russia's war has led to renewed attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure. Recent overnight Russian strikes hit power and heating facilities in southern Ukraine, leaving tens of thousands of households without electricity or heating just as winter begins. Why 2025 matters: the fact that Russia claims new territorial gains and controls a significant portion of Ukraine means the war remains far from over. The conflict continues to evolve. Front lines are shifting and control maps are changing. Russia's insistence on full control over Donbas makes any peace deal extremely challenging, because that demand requires Ukraine to cede major territories, something Kyiv has publicly refused. This increases the likelihood that the war could continue into 2026 or longer. The targeting of civilian infrastructure power, heating, energy shows that the war's toll is not just military winters in Ukraine, could become increasingly harsh for civilians. Underlining the humanitarian urgency, the capture of new territory like Konstantinivka signals that despite months of attrition, Russia still seeks and sometimes achieves local advances. What to watch next? We've seen how the war has unfolded from the shock of 2022 to the slow grind of 2025. But the story is far from over. What happens next could change everything. Will diplomacy prevail, or will this war drag on for years? Will lines shift again? Will occupied territories be liberated or permanently lost? Will the world adapt to a new era of long-term conflict in Europe? One thing is certain: this war matters, not just for Ukraine, not just for Russia, but for the world. The key moments we covered offer more than history. They offer warnings, lessons, and urgent questions about the future of security, sovereignty, and humanity. If you found this breakdown helpful, share